how do you think that like the sex ed that you got in high school like influenced the way you think about sex?
That's such a good question. I mean, I think that I was raised in a very like sex positive household, which was a good thing. So I think that I like, turned out okay in that fashion, and I was taught to think about my own sexuality and my own pleasure from a pretty young age, just from my mom. But um, the fact that I don't remember any of the like sex ed that I got in high school, I feel like also speaks volumes. Um, and I didn't really like even, despite growing up that way in like a sex positive household, think about like my own sexuality as a thing that wasn't just like a bartering tool for guys, like as a straight female, until I was like well into college, like 19 or 20.
Yeah, interesting. And I guess if you were to think about like the types of stuff like you wish you were taught, like what would that be?
The female orgasm, for sure. I think um, so much. I mean, obviously, learning about STDs is very important, but most of the sex ed that I got in high school was just all about STDs, and it was like 90% STDs and 10% like putting a condom on. We use eggplants actually, not banana. So I was a little bit of overcompensation, but I don't know. I feel like there's so much emphasis placed on like the scientific part of sex and not the emotional part of sex, and not like, if you are going to have sex, here are the possible, medical issues you might have, but here are also the emotional issues you might have. And here's like, talks about relationship and like gender-based violence and like, sexual misconduct and all of this stuff that like is never, ever, ever talked about in high school sex ed, or at least high school sex ed that I have heard of. So I think that's what it's lacking for sure.